I caught my cousin stealing my entire life when she married my fiancé on our wedding day, but now I'm getting the most delicious revenge as their perfect little world crumbles before my eyes. Should I feel bad for enjoying their downfall? First, a little about myself. I'm a 31-year-old woman who's proud to say I've built everything in my life brick by brick. No shortcuts, no handouts, just pure determination and a concerning amount of caffeine. I'm only going to refer to myself as OP here, because this story isn't really about me. It's about betrayal in its purest form, and how karma eventually collects its debts with interest. I was madly in love with a man I'll call Jake. Tall, dark, handsome, and a successful business owner who could charm the paint off walls. The problem? He was also as toxic as an abandoned chemical plant. Red flags everywhere, but I convinced myself they were just scarlet decorations for our fairy tale wedding, not warning signs screaming at me to run. God, I was blind. Now, about my cousin. I'll call her Bella. We grew up more like sisters than cousins. When her parents died tragically before high school, my parents stepped in to support her. Not adopt her, support her. She was almost 18. They treated her like their own daughter, often putting her needs above mine despite our tight budget. New phones, expensive classes, whatever she wanted, she got. All she had to do was pull the, if my parents were alive, I'd have this card, and my parents would cave. It stung when she started eyeing things that mattered to me. My books, my jacket, even my spot in the school choir. She wasn't grieving anymore. She was entitled. She valued shiny things more than people, and I was just the fool who thought I meant more to her than I actually did. Her parents had left her a small fund, enough to cover a year of college. Instead of using it wisely, Bella decided to move out. She didn't ask or discuss it, she just announced her plan. My parents tried to convince her to use the money better, telling her repeatedly it wouldn't last a year. They begged her to think rationally, but Bella exploded, saying they weren't her real parents and couldn't stop her. So off she went to blow through her inheritance however she wanted. Even after that, my parents kept trying to reach out to her. A year later, my mom was diagnosed with advanced stage cancer. Too late for treatment, they said. When Dad tried to tell Bella, her response was ice cold. This has nothing to do with me. But months after Mom passed away, guess who showed up? Bella, pretending to be remorseful, saying she missed her only family. Her performance could have won an Oscar. My father, being the doormat he is, welcomed her back without hesitation. Not that she acted like family once she moved in. She abused every opportunity, demanding more money and even stealing a new dress from my closet, one I'd been saving for a special occasion. Then came the day I brought Jake home to meet Dad. Of course, Bella was there. The way her eyes lit up when she learned Jake was a businessman was a sight to behold. Suddenly, she was being incredibly nice around Jake, listening attentively and laughing at every joke he made, no matter how lame. Jake soaked up every second of attention like a sponge. The signals were there, bright and glaring, but I chose to ignore them. I admit it. Call me colorblind when it came to him. This is where the disaster began, or rather, where it got even worse. A year ago, I was supposed to marry Jake. Invitations sent, venue booked, and I was emotionally preparing to become Mrs. Toxic Jake. But I wouldn't be here if I had gotten my happily ever after, would I? The morning of the wedding, I received a call. My maternal grandfather had passed away. He had been ill for some time, but the timing was brutal. I dropped everything and flew out for the funeral. My heart was in pieces, but my grandfather deserved my respect. He was the only one in the family who truly understood me, who valued hard work and principles more than superficial appearances. While I was busy grieving and handling legal matters, Jake and Bella were busy with other activities. After the funeral, there was a reading of the will, and I never saw it coming. My grandfather left me a fortune, enough to finally open the restaurant of my dreams. Apparently, he had been secretly saving for this on behalf of my late mother, his only child, and always believed in my vision. Bella, on the other hand, had no claim to this inheritance. She's from my father's side and wasn't related to my grandfather in any way. All my life, I believed my family was comfortably middle class, with nothing extraordinary to show. But it turns out my grandfather had ensured my mother's legacy would live on through me. And this is where the betrayal happened, the ultimate low blow. When I returned, ready to lean on Jake emotionally and perhaps share the news of my unexpected fortune, I discovered he was no longer my fiancé. He was my cousin's husband. Yes, Bella had been cheating with him and married him on the very day I was supposed to. Jake had dropped me like a bad investment, claiming he had uncovered some concerning truth about me. What truth, you ask? Just a lie from Bella, a story that she had a massive inheritance that I would never touch. The irony? She had nothing. Whatever her parents had left her, she'd already blown through it. Bella knew this, bet on Jake's greed, and won. At least temporarily. But here's the good thing about being betrayed. It teaches you exactly who you are. I realized I'm not one to stay down for long. I channeled my pain into action. I cut all contact with Bella and Jake. No explanations, no closure. Just a clean break. I focused on building with the resources my grandfather left me. And let me tell you, there's a unique satisfaction in thriving while those who hurt you struggle to stay afloat. Bella and Jake's perfect marriage has already run aground, from what I've heard. Turns out lies and greed aren't a solid foundation. Who would have thought? Let's fast forward to the present. I've moved on. I found a wonderful boyfriend who treats me like gold, and I'm finally opening that dream restaurant my grandfather believed in so much. Life isn't perfect, but it's good. So imagine my surprise when I received a message from Jake out of nowhere. We need to talk. It's urgent. He hadn't spoken to me in a year, but suddenly he wants to have a deep conversation. My first instinct was to delete it. Then I thought about responding just to tell him to go to hell. I don't owe him anything, but if he's decided to write to me, it's because he really wants something from me. And based on the rumors about his marriage, he must be going through a rough patch. Would I be the bad guy if I talked to him just to find out what's going on and rub salt in Jake's wound? Update 1. Before diving into the chaos I'm currently in, I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post. I know some people said I shouldn't even speak to him, that he doesn't deserve even that much. But in a way, it's been good to talk to him because at least now I'm prepared for something he's planning to do. Now, when I tell you, you'll understand why I needed advice on what I should do next, not just with Jake, but with my boyfriend too. So, about my meeting with Mr. Toxic. I chose a neutral location with people around in case things didn't go as planned. I wasn't expecting violence, but I was ready for anything. It wasn't exactly the place I'd choose for a deep conversation, but then again, I wasn't expecting much depth from someone who cheated on me with my cousin. Jake walked in like he owned the place, and I sat there thinking, this man left me for my cousin, and now he's acting like he's God's gift to the world. Okay, he did smell good, I'll give him that, but that's beside the point. I kept my cool, of course. I wasn't about to give him the satisfaction of seeing me lose my composure. So he starts talking about how his business went bankrupt. Was I surprised? Not in the slightest. Then he drops what he really wanted. He's in major financial trouble. But here's where it gets wild. He says it's my fault. Yes, apparently if I had told him about my inheritance, he wouldn't have married Bella, who, by the way, lied about having an inheritance of her own. Turns out Bella's fortune doesn't exist, which I already knew, and now he's trapped in a marriage he only entered for money that never existed. The audacity doesn't end there. He directly asked me to help fix his mess, as if it's my job to rescue him. He says he needs my wealth to get out of this hole, like I owe him something for his poor decisions. I was already done with the conversation, but then he decided to dial up the drama. He started saying I owed him because if I had been honest about my finances, he wouldn't be in this situation. I laughed in his face like Nelson from The Simpsons. But it gets worse. He's not just trying to manipulate me with guilt. Now he's threatening me. He says he has an intimate photo of us from when we were together, and he'll publish it if I don't help him. I should have recorded the conversation, but I wasn't expecting this kind of talk. I thought he might say he needed something, wanted to get back together, or something like that. Not that he would threaten me. Yes, the guy who left me for my cousin is now trying to blackmail me. And of course, he threw in another pathetic threat along the lines of, if you don't help me, I'll ruin your life with your new boyfriend. Honestly, I'm in shock at how far he's willing to go. He really thinks he can manipulate me, threaten me, and make me feel guilty so I'll give him money. Money that, by the way, is already invested in my restaurant. I don't know whether to feel bad about the photo situation, but then there's my boyfriend. Should I tell him? I don't want to drag him into this drama, but at the same time, if Jake really does something, I don't want it to take my boyfriend by surprise. I feel like I should be honest, but I also don't want this mess to affect my current relationship. I'm glad I saw Jake because at least I know about all this now. I would have hated finding out about my photo if he had made it public without telling me. Plus, he would have threatened me sooner or later anyway. I'm so tired of Jake and his stupidity. But I also need to make sure he knows he can't get away with these tactics. How do I handle this without letting him ruin everything I've built? Update 2. I think I have some things that might interest you to hear about, including some positive developments for me. So stick around if you want to know what's happening in my life. Jake thought it would be a brilliant idea to continue his blackmail with the intimate photo. He kept sending me messages giving me a deadline to decide whether I would help him or if he should go ahead with his little threat. It's funny because now everything is on record, and I didn't have to do anything. I don't think Jake was the smartest guy in class. Everyone knows that if you're going to commit something illegal, you should leave as little evidence as possible, or none at all. Every time I ignored him, he sent another message, all cryptic and dramatic, like time is running out, as if he were in a cheap suspense movie. It reminded me of Saw, especially since Jake has the same chubby cheeks as the puppet. But wait, it gets better. I was at my restaurant, still under construction, with my best friend trying to have a normal day and talk about menu ideas, when guess who showed up out of nowhere? Jake just walks in like it's no big deal, all flirty and arrogant. The way he presented himself was disgusting. He didn't say anything directly, but his tone and that little smile were loaded with, "There are things you don't know." Jake didn't stay long, thank goodness, but the message was clear. He knows where I usually am. He knows about my boyfriend, and he has no problem showing up unannounced just to remind me how close he can get to me. It was unsettling, to say the least. Now here's where things took a ridiculous turn. Jake's mother, Doris, decided to get involved. For context, Doris never liked me when I was dating Jake. I'll never know the reason why, and I'm not about to ask her because now that I'm done with her son, I've been able to get rid of her too. She would make passive-aggressive comments, ignore me at family events, and basically treat me like I didn't exist. Well, fast forward, and guess who's crying on the phone begging me to help the family? Yes, it's Doris. And then she had the audacity to show up at my door. Apparently, her whole family is a mess now with Jake's failure. The situation is dragging down the entire family. Bella is making Doris's life hell, treating her like an unpaid domestic servant, throwing tantrums and creating chaos whenever Doris tries to stand up for herself. It seems Doris has found her match and has ended up being her bitch. Bella has always been, let's say, complicated, but now it seems she's in full tyrant mode. At this point, I think I'm on Bella's side because she's making Doris suffer, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend, at least in this context. Doris told me all this while sobbing, saying she couldn't take it anymore. She told me how impossible it is to live with Bella and emotionally manipulated me by saying, "It's your family. You have to help us." I told her to leave, but I promised I would write all this down in my invisible notebook to sit and think about her problem and how to help them. No, she wasn't happy with my sarcasm. But let me get this straight. Jake thinks it's okay to blackmail me to save his ass. He's showing up uninvited at my restaurant like an unhinged stalker. His mom, who treated me like garbage for years, now wants me to save her son and family because Bella is ruining their lives. I can't help but feel like the bad guy, but I'm enjoying it more than you can imagine. Well, here's the thing. I'm actually considering helping them. Not because I want to, but because I'm ready to make them believe I'm on their side just to watch everything crumble from within. Yes, I'm planning to pretend I'm going to rescue their family. I'll act like I'm about to do the big heroic thing, but I'm going to make them dance to my tune first. They think they can manipulate me? They should think again. I'm already mapping out the plan in my mind. I'll be super generous with them, but it will be on my terms. I won't give them anything without making them beg for every little thing they ask for. They want my help? Fine. But they'll have to give me everything I want in return, starting with a big, delicious slice of humility. I feel like a villain planning my revenge from the top of a mountain where I have my secret base. As for my boyfriend, he's been supportive. I haven't told him everything about Jake's nonsense yet because, honestly, it's humiliating, but he knows enough to support me without pressuring me to talk more about it. I just hope Jake doesn't try anything else because my boyfriend is a pretty calm guy, until he's not. I wouldn't want him to unleash on Jake. At this point, I expect to receive comments from the Net Flanders types saying I should leave everything behind and just move on with my life. Well, nobody marries on my wedding day with my cousin and threatens me. Nobody. Update 3. This update is for those who wanted revenge. The Flanders of life can keep reading doormat stories to feel connected to them. If Jake and his dysfunctional family thought I was going to let myself be walked all over, they were very wrong. I played my cards, and boy, did I make them regret even trying to blackmail me. Get ready because this update is juicy and yes, a bit wild. So, let's go back to where we left off. Jake's mom, Doris, came to me with tears in her eyes and desperate, begging me to help. She made it seem like somehow I was responsible for her family's happiness because her son's life was out of control. According to her, it was all my fault. Sure, Doris. Do you also see and talk to dead people? Are they in this room with you now? You know what I told her? That I was going to help, but not for the reasons she thought. Step 1. Establishing the rules. First things first, I wasn't going to let Jake use those photos as a weapon against me. The fact that he even thought he could use them as leverage is pathetic. I told Doris directly that if she wanted my cooperation, there were some conditions. Jake had to delete the photos immediately. He needed to sign a legal document promising never to try something like this again. If he refused, well, we'd see each other in court. Desperation is a powerful drug because Doris accepted without thinking twice. Next scene, me sitting across from Jake, watching him squirm in his chair at my restaurant. Yes, still under construction. He hated every second of it, but I wasn't playing games. With Doris by his side, I made him unlock his phone, open his gallery, and delete everything while I watched. Then I made him sign a legal agreement drafted by my lawyer stating that he could never use any copies, if he had anything saved elsewhere, against me. And yes, there were some very costly clauses if he decided to breach the contract. Seeing his arrogant attitude crumble as he realized he had no other choice, that was the cherry on top. Step 2. Legal consequences. But I wasn't done. Once I had the agreement in hand, I moved on to the next step. He thought I would deposit money into his account the next day. Well, I did, but he didn't make me sign any contract, so my offer turned out to be very generous. I filed a harassment lawsuit against Jake. I wasn't going to stop just because he deleted the photos. I wanted to send a clear message. You can't mess with me and get away with it. I wasn't going to bury him up to his neck in problems. Jake had been monitoring me, harassing me, and trying to use those photos to blackmail me. That's not just toxic, it's illegal. So I gathered all the evidence I had, hired an amazing litigation attorney, and went all out. Let me tell you, Jake didn't see this coming. His excuse for everything he did is that I overreacted and misinterpreted what he had told me. But the court didn't see it that way. Screenshots of text messages with countdowns and witnesses supporting my case were enough for even a jury of monkeys to find him guilty. It was beautiful to see him found guilty. The result? Jake ended up with a considerable fine, a restraining order, and, attention, time in jail. Yes, Jake went from trying to control me to losing his freedom. Isn't karmic justice beautiful? Jake's attempt to manipulate me not only failed spectacularly, but blew up in his face. Now I'm free from his toxicity, my restaurant is progressing at a good pace, and my boyfriend now knows the whole story. But when all the drama was over, he said he wouldn't have cared about the photo anyway. So to all the people dealing with manipulators and blackmailers, don't let them control you. There's always a way to reclaim your power, and believe me, doing it intelligently and legally is incredibly satisfying. But I haven't forgotten about Bella or Doris. Let's talk about Jake's wife and my dear cousin Bella, the woman who thought she'd be surrounded by money and living the high life after marrying Jake. Spoiler, she didn't see a penny. She wasn't exactly innocent in all this. She had been encouraging Jake's behavior, urging him to use those photos to get what he wanted. She even threw some threats in my direction, thinking she could intimidate me. Big mistake. When Jake's life began to crumble, so did Bella's. At first, she tried to hold on, but the stress and public humiliation were too much. Last I heard from my father, she was trying to seek refuge at his house. But after what Bella did to me, my father swore never to forgive her. He threw her out and even threatened to press charges for trespassing. Karma strikes again. And Doris? Absolute silence. I guess she realized there's no coming back from this. She had put all her energy into emotionally manipulating me to save her family, only for none of it to work. She raised Jake to be who he is, and now she's reaping what she sowed. In another life, maybe she'll be a better mother. In this one, she wasn't. Well, I inaugurated my dream restaurant a few months ago, and it's starting to bear fruit, so I can't complain. During the day, I apply karma to those who deserve it, and at night, I run a restaurant. Life is better than I could ask for. Am I the villain for going scorched earth on my ex and his wife? Some people might say I overreacted and should forgive, but those people don't have my ex and my cousin in their lives, or they're being delusional. They played with fire, and I simply showed them they were going to get burned. Update 4. I know you see me as Reddit's villain, albeit in a friendly way, for everything that's happened in my story. But this time, I haven't been remotely at fault. I'm not the one who brought out the war axe, although if you ask Doris, she'll tell you all the unfortunate events in her life are due to what I've done since the beginning of time. Yes, I've done some things, but not all that I'm accused of. My cousin has filed for divorce with her husband in jail, which I think is normal. With no money, no husband, nothing tying her to that marriage, she's fleeing like the Titanic is sinking. But she's demanded her husband's house because she believes that the fact that he ended up in jail has caused her great stress and broken their marriage vows, a house where Doris also lives. My cousin, who has returned to the house because she considers it legitimately hers, has gone back to making Doris's life as miserable as possible. I know because I receive messages from Doris saying I need to get my cousin off her back. I should have blocked her, yes, but at the same time, when I'm stressed about my work at the restaurant, I receive these messages and realize my life isn't so difficult. Besides, knowing Doris is suffering is like a caress for the soul. I hope I keep receiving these messages because I don't know how much longer Doris will write to me if I never respond. One day she'll get tired. I made a decision. Sometimes I would just respond with emojis, like surprised ones when she told me something bad Bella had done. But the important thing is what she's told me now. Bella didn't manage to keep the house, but she did get the divorce. She had no legal basis to claim it since it belonged to Jake before the marriage. So Doris won, except for one small detail. Jake demanded that Doris also leave the house and find a new apartment, as a friend would take care of renting it while he's in jail. He wants to save some money for when he finally gets out and can get back on his feet. Plus, he still has many debts to pay. Thanks to this, Doris has been left homeless and wrote to me asking if I would be willing to open the doors of my home to her. I replied that being bossy seems to run in the family, so if she moved in, she would have to accept everything I told her and take care of household things. She protested, saying she didn't want to be anyone's servant again, and that according to her, I was trying to make her my bitch. Well, in the end, she agreed to do some chores, all to get a place to stay. However, I told her I had already found a new housemate because she had taken too long. The conversation only lasted about 10 minutes, but after that, I blocked her, so I don't know what her response was. Yes, I was the bad guy again. I don't know where she went. It's her problem and Jake's. I don't know where my cousin has moved, I think with some relative, but the truth is, I'm not interested at this point. What I am interested in is ending this whole matter because even Doris's messages weren't fun anymore. Reading her third message of the day crying because she has no home is no longer so entertaining. Get over it, bitch. You were so tough when you treated me badly. Now you can be tough to find a place to stay.